Hello and welcome. Welcome to Nerds United E6 tournament refresh and PTSD2 preview. With me is my partner in crime, Aster.
Good evening, Exto. How are you?
Uh, I've qualified for 9 tournaments. I tried to get into 10, but I'm bad at perfect draft, so I didn't get into 10. I kind of just uh, happened into some of them. Um, but I have a lot of tournament building to do the next 3 days. Yourself?
I qualified in seven, and the one of the weekly PD I qualified last two tournaments of the cycle on Sunday. I finished in the quarterfinals and semifinals, and that got me, I think, much just enough points. I think if I'd lost one round earlier in either of the two of them, I might not have qualified.
Yeah, I needed like I think I was 10 points short of a weekly PD. So whatever needed, whatever two or three placements. So yeah, um, Monday was very busy with the what some people may call a live update, and then a bunch of tournament refreshes and PTCS stuff. So and
Yeah, I just
and
want
go ahead.
to.
What'd you say?
I no, I go ahead. I wasn't. I didn't realize you were continuing.
Oh,
Sorry.
so but for tonight, yeah, we're gonna go through the updated tournaments, what went out, what went in, go through PTCS. We're gonna go look at what is 1995 era, um, because we know everything. Disclaimer: we don't know anything. Aster knows a lot. I don't know anything. I'm just here to keep Aster in line. And then we're gonna build a gold team because Aster is gonna tell me how to win gold and win nine Randy Johnsons. That's gonna be my goal for this weekend. If I don't win nine, then I've failed as a perfect team tournament player.
Well, you're probably going to beat me in at least two finals, so
Okay.
that's easy. Uh, so let's get started. Look at the refresh. We wanted to start out, obviously, giving a little publicity to the new tournament lab format. So this is something that Exto and I cooked up. Um, it's going to be a bronze floor, low diamond ceiling, 1908 cap, 1908 settings, and no DH. And Extra, didn't we also say historical only? Did that did that end up? It wasn't on the slide, but I don't know if it. Let me see.
I can
May have
double
to double.
check what happened. Uh,
Let me see. I'll check.
I think that's what we wanted. Um,
Yeah, I think Miko missed that, so we may have to talk to him about that.
yeah,
Yeah, I
weekly
think the
tournament.
idea was to not have the future legend cards in there. But I mentioned that to him. So yeah, so even with his whether we get the historical or not. I think it's a fun format. We experimented last year with 1876, which it did not go well at all. And I think we did 1896 or 1898. That worked a good bit better. So we wanted to try 1908. Um, Default when they've done a dead ball format is 1919, which seems to work pretty well. We wanted to see if there were any differences. Also, 1908 it happens to be an interesting historical year. It was the lowest run scoring environment in Major League Baseball history. Um, and so really epitomized dead ball where, it was a lot of like slap hitting and runs, stolen bases, just kind of, grinding out runs. So we wanted to see if there, there's a degree to which, the engine will be able to simulate that environment at all. So, it should be fun to give it a try, and, probably a very interesting build. And then the next Wednesday Mishmash, basically a new tournament, because the previous one was Snapshots, Rookie Sensations, and Unsung Heroes. None of those cards will be eligible now. It'll be just All Star and Hardware Heroes cards. It'll be a 1970 run environment. This and the next one, the Tuesday Snapshots. I don't particularly love these tournaments. I find that the first few weeks are interesting, but it's usually a tight enough player pool, and a lot of these cards are cards everybody pretty much has, that it ends up being a meta where everybody kind of is running the same exact cards, and there's not that much to distinguish yourself.
I I I do not have all the snapshot cards, so
Okay,
my roster was a lot different than the team that beat me.
okay, and but that's also something that tends to clean itself up after several weeks, because a lot of the people who didn't have those cards start to collect them. A lot of the very usable cards for that tournament are not particularly expensive. Even the perfects are only like 50,000 point cards. And the tough thing is, it's a lot to spend on a card that's really only going to play in this and maybe one or two other tournaments. But to a large extent, I there's not that many cards that I'm like, oh, you have to have this to be competitive in that format. Similar, kind of took a quick look at All Star and Hardware Heroes for Mishmash, um, and um, it was kind of similar. There's a little bit more diversity of players, but there's a couple positions where it's just like painfully obvious what the option is and who you should play. Um, in terms of uh, Ben Sheets, no, no, no. That's all I have to say about that.
It
Um,
just talking about snapshots. I did lose to Joe Buck yourself,
okay,
who eventually lost to McNoosh.
okay,
Uh, and like looking at McNoosh, it seems like Tommy Pham, Paul O'Neill, Mike Napoli. Those are like probably the cards I'm
yeah.
missing.
But I mean, but Giles, Camille, Tomei, Valentine,
Yeah,
um, you know, most of those cards, you're looking at, most of the diamond cards are 10, 20,000. So it's really
yeah,
O'Neill, Napoli. I think Richard Hidalgo is the other perfect.
yeah.
Um, Oddly, there's a bunch of perfects, I think, in the bullpen. There's like two or three perfects that you could potentially have. I don't think he had any of them. So I don't
Yeah.
think McNoosh or Joe Buck yourself did, but yeah. So I think it's a pretty approachable tournament. That there's not that many really big whale cards, but also just there's a lot of cards that you just might not otherwise have because they don't have a value in a lot of other places. Um, the other new tournament is Thursday Defense to Home Run Era. So this is cards only from 1980 to 2004. It's a 1980 cap and a 1980 run environment with DH. This replaces the Thursday Low Ironman. Um, I haven't really looked at this one much. 1980 strikes me as a very high cap. I haven't run the math on it, but um, my guess is that you're going to be able to play pretty much um, all your top cards that fit into the format. It's also I sometimes I find these are fun that it's only a 25-year era, and so there's going to be some kind of fun cards that like I think maybe I'll get to play Ripken in this format if it's a loose cap. He'll probably be the best shortstop, um, and so it kind of gives some life to some cards that were the best of that era, but aren't that great overall and don't really fit in anywhere else. So I'm looking forward to that one. And then Friday Low Silver is going from 1927 settings to modern. So That's just a change in the baseline year. And then case the Monday Silver. This wasn't on Dish's slide, but I noticed that this week's tournament was 128 again and filled over a day early. So it's now going to be starting next week 256. I don't know, since they haven't announced it, whether that's a permanent thing, but that's what it is for next week. So hopefully, if that fills on time, that should be the case going forward. Um, and Yeah, so I think that's a nice change. I kind of hope they would do the same for gold, so we'll see if when gold regenerates tomorrow, if they made that 256 as well. That's also filling quite a bit in advance. So that's the weekly changes. And then dailies, a lot of the dailies just had small changes to the baseline year. So I'm just going to run through them quick. Just kind of give people a heads up if you play these formats, you're going to want to make some adjustments to some of the bigger changes. Obviously, 1992 to 1931, now with no DH. That's a pretty big shift in the era. Historical iron goes from 1955 to 2005. Again, another big shift. Daily late bronze, 1998 to 1979. It's a little bit of a shift. You'll probably want to make some adjustments, but it's not going to change that much who you play. Bronze cap, the cap goes up 50 points, and it goes from 1962 to modern. So I guess you play. You're probably going to change some of your hitters, but then also going to be able to spend some points to have a bullpen or upgrade elsewhere. Daily early silver goes from 1971 to modern, and then late silver goes from modern to 19, which is a big shift. 1919 gets into the dead ball, where there will be basically no run. We talk about like 0.1 home runs per game. And then daily early gold goes from 1975 to 1989, and also the DH. Again, not a huge change, similar to late bronze, but the other direction. And then on the next slide, daily diamond goes from modern to 1927. Now no DH. That's a pretty big change. Low diamond cap goes from 1919 to modern. Another big change. And then diamond cap 1984 to modern. So now you need OTP era cap both drop from 1750 to 1650 and 1999 to modern. I built a team for this earlier today, and I really like the change. The lower cap, just you have to make a lot of choices, but they're kind of mostly good choices. You can drop down from like a diamond card to like a silver card, and there's some really good silvers. Unfortunately, a lot of them are future legends, but there are still a lot of good options. There's also a couple of the build a lineup guys where you can just drop down to one or two levels lower and play just a slight lesser version of the same player. And then Mr. Black, I don't think you're going to get late silver filling any differently. Doesn't look like they would change the number of teams in the dailies, and I think there's just going to be that same demand.
But it does mean you
Or
could probably queue 20 hours early and then uh, probably do better because a lot of people are probably still queuing as if it's the old tournament format.
Yeah, and there's definitely you're going to get for probably at least a week. You're going to get a lot of people playing it who haven't adjusted for the different era. I mean, the bigger advantage is when it goes from 1919 to modern, and people are still playing three starters. Um, so um, that might those are the ones where you like low diamond cap, where if people, I almost submitted my low diamond cap without looking, and would have had 7 total pitchers, 3 starters, and probably just would have gotten destroyed just based on that. And then we have 3 new tournaments in the wild card formats. First one is daily high silver floor, low diamond ceiling. It's a 2,199 cap, modern era with a DH. Um, Daily Special Edition cap is an 1875 cap, again modern with the DH, and the Daily Live cap, 1825 cap, modern with the DH. I think all three of these are pretty solid formats. You know, that you get to use some slightly different cards. The Daily Special Edition cap, especially, is a really hard cap to build because there's very few iron cards that are special editions. There's a couple limited editions. There's a couple of the tops cards, but it's almost like a bronze floor without actually being labeled a bronze floor. And so you really have to make a lot of tough choices. And, you can't get too many 100 cards into your lineup. So
If you're in
that's
Discord
I
and
think
you
that's a fun one to
see
build.
if you're in Discord and you see people like trying to get random LE cards, I think it's because of this.
Yeah, I mean, I ended up with a Conseco. I think I pulled them and I couldn't sell him for a good price, and I just kind of like, oh, maybe there'll be some time when I'll use him. Now he's great because he's a free card. And, uh, unfortunately, he only plays right field, but to have a free card that at least is something of a bat
I think the
is
lowest
nice.
pitcher is like the tops one Sutton, who's
Yeah,
a 55.
yeah. And then the other tough thing is that a lot of the bronze pitchers are guys that you probably would actually like to use higher level version in certain cases. But if you do that, then you don't have any bronze pitchers. So it's definitely uh, it feels a little bit more like a puzzle building the building a roster for that one. Um, that might be a fun one for us to do. In the next couple of weeks is put together a build for that. Just
Is
to show
is the live
kind of what.
cap a wild card tournament?
Yes. So the
Interesting.
daily live is an open format, but the daily live cap is a wild card. Uh,
Huh.
for what I assume will go with reasons. So that one, the live cap that's a weekly is a 1700 cap. It's a little tighter. This one, you can get in a few more good cards, although they're live cards, so I don't know if good is the right word. But I find that to be a fun build as well. And then I think that's it for new formats.
That's all that you put down. So
Okay.
there might
Well,
be more, but
the other thing is, the quicks. Obviously, now have, best of seven quicks in a number of formats, and we're not going to go into those much. Um, and they took away some of the smaller, the shorter format quicks. Well, and then perfect drafts. They made a lot of changes. Um, I did my first orderly perfect draft just to get, you know, somewhat prepared before, doing the PTCS one. It's a little bit, different. There's later rounds, take uh, three in like the last bronze and iron rounds. So, you just have to shift. It's a little bit more like a cat build than a normal perfect draft. Uh, so that's a little bit different in terms of what you have to work the cards you have to work with. Um,
it was
but
I did the Tuesday orderly. Was that what you
right,
did as well, or no?
yeah,
And yeah, it was the three picks per round was a little uh, disorienting.
it's also tough because if you get a bad round and you have to take three of the 12, it's just a bit more frustrating. Um, but there's not much you can do.
Right.
So
Um, on to the main event.
yes,
Uh, what is it? This Saturday or Sunday? I should know.
this
It's
Saturday.
this Saturday. Uh, PTCS2 formats. Uh, yeah, you want to run through those?
Sure. So starting at the top, we've got historical iron, a 1225 cap. I realized I didn't for the iron, bronze, and silver that I'm not in. I didn't calculate the cap numbers. Um, so do we want to do that real quick?
Sure.
Okay.
With movie magic, cap numbers. Okay, so
So
1225.
1225 minus 1040,
I need a calculator for this.
and then divide equals 185,
185. Yep.
and then 185 divided by 19 equals just under 10.
185 divided by 19.
Number
9.7.
9.7.
Okay.
Okay, so that's a reasonable cap, not too tight, but definitely not too loose. And then let's see,
Bronze
bronze.
is 1717. 1717 minus 1040 is equal to.
Oh, it's not 1040 because it's a bronze.
Oh, it's bronze.
60
so
times 26 is minus
1560.
1560.
And then minus 1717, it's 157. And
Divided by
then
9
divide by 9.
is
17.4.
okay. So we'll just double check for silver, but I think we're gonna have the same result. What's the silver cap?
Silver is 1995. 1995, 70 times 26 is 1820. Which, whoops. Minus 1995, which is 175. Divided by 9. It's more, right?
It's more.
It's 19.4.
Oh God, 19.4. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And then the other ones I already calculated. So gold is 15.3 and diamond is 14.8.
Sorry. Gold is what?
15.3
Diamond.
and diamond is 14.8.
And then what was this? This is silver.
Open is the one as the other cap, and that's 11.8.
Open 11.8. Yeah, that's silver.
Yeah.
Is that right?
So,
is it? It's silver only. Okay.
yep. Yeah. So basically, bronze through diamond. I'm going to say the same thing. We don't have to cover them individually. Pretend it's not a cap. So diamond is the lowest of them at 14.8 cap. I built my diamond only roster, and I had around 20 points left over, and I really can't figure out where I would use those points. Like, if for most of these formats, there's enough cards that are 80 to 84 that are just as good as the 85 to 89 cards that you're probably going to end up a good bit below the cap. And I would think especially in silver, you're going to end up way below the cap. I just there's so many low silver cards that I think are very good, that you're just going to basically have just pretend. I think that's the simple answer is just pretend there's no cap. And
I did the math, and it's 17 for gold.
oh, did I do the math wrong?
It's 2233. So 2233 minus 2080 is 153 over 9, which is 17. And not 15.3.
Oh, I divided by 10 instead of 9. How did I do that? Because I'm an idiot. Okay.
Text. We're going to strike this through. There we go. Movie magic. I was forgetting how to
that
math.
one's 17, and then and then diamond also.
I'm going to do this then. 2488.
Diamond is 16.4. Okay.
2488 minus. Let's go through the math. 90 times 26 is 23. 2340, which equals 148 divided by 9 is equal to 16.4, which is
No, Mr. Audit, this was I divided by the wrong number because I'm not good at math, and that's why I should just have just sent these numbers to XO and said, "Look at these, make sure I did it right."
and then open is
Um,
1750. So
that
then,
one's right.
okay, because that's 1750 minus 1040 and whatever.
Yeah, and
1750
then
minus 1040. Whoops, plus 104 minus 1040. 710. Sure.
divided
Okay.
by 60.
Divided by 60. It's 11.83. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, good. I didn't get all of them wrong. I forgot to calculate 3 of them. I got 2 of them wrong, and I got 1 right. I will. I'm going to take this as a major victory.
Well, like in baseball, that's like not that bad. 1/6.
So there were 3 pitches I didn't swing at, and then 2 I missed, and 1 I hit. That's good.
Sure. Um,
Oh, so yeah, I mean, this is poor. This is poor tournament design because what's the point of having a cap if you don't actually have to make any decisions? Um, and I'm fine with loose caps on occasion. I like where you can have a full starting lineup and full pitching rotation, but maybe have to decide whether you want to platoon at a couple spots or have a couple decent um, bullpen pieces. So like if this was like a 14 cap, that might, or 13 cap, that might be, fine. But at where it is, um, it's, these are all 4 of those are really bad in terms of, creating a cap where you have like actual um, uh, choices.
yeah,
So
and like it feeds into, is there a DH? Is there no DH? What's the run environment? How many pitchers do you need? How many bullpen pieces you need? So
yeah. So the fact that these are all 1995 run environment with a DH, um, so it made sense that they had a reasonably loose cap because you did need pretty strong bullpen in 1995 and you need the DH, but they could have cut this by a pretty well. I rock this. How does that? Do you stand a chance in Diamond Open anyway? I mean, the Diamond Open was a format that you had to play, or one of the ones that you had to play. So basically, it's just this is all irrelevant. You just should treat it as an open tournament rather than a cap. And then it's a question of building a roster for a open tournament. But yeah, I just think it's confusing to people that you label it as a cap, but then when you actually build your team, you realize that it's not. So that's unfortunate. I think that I definitely think people should give them feedback that they didn't do a good job of creating formats for this because they're not really caps. So um, uh,
so this kind of feeds into the next spot where what is 1995? I
so
was
1995 fits into the power years. Um, so obviously you need a full rotation, um, and you'll need a bullpen. I probably depending on how you want to build, I could easily see going to 13 pitchers in this format, um, and um, uh, you know basically have a pretty deep bullpen because your starters are going to go a few more pitches than they would in modern, but I don't know. You definitely don't want them. Um, you don't want to put it. You're not going to be able to stretch it too far. Um, and
which may go into why like it's a looser cap, but why have a
right, they
cap
just went.
then? Like just
Yeah,
have it, just have an open.
right. Well, and also it's like they could have made a loose cap that actually made you make a few choices. Um, like because last year they had a diamonds only, and it was like instead of the average card being a 97, it was like the average card was like a 94 and a half. And you had to make some choices. You basically had to play some 90 cards in a lot of like backup spots or in the bullpen. And some of those were a lot weaker cards. This does not, there's not really any choices you have to make. So
Well,
you want to look a little bit at
in iron you
okay.
do.
Iron, you definitely do,
Yeah.
and the 17 and the open, the 1750 cap. That one you'll definitely have to
Yeah.
um, make choices.
But yeah, I think part of like the distribution of good cards overall makes it so that like the diamond might be hard just because there's so many good gold pitchers. So you're actually have to find how to fit the good diamond pitchers in, which
Yeah,
I don't play diamond that much, so I don't know, and I probably don't have those diamond cards. And a lot of the diamond formats that I qualified for diamond, kind of similar to I Rock This, where like I played gold cards, so
right.
it's gonna be a bit of a challenge.
Yeah, no, I think having having each format be onlys, is fine for a one-off kind of event, but because it just makes some challenges. You can't, um, you know, go back to the gold cards or whatever. You have to have for that level, you have to have those cards. Um, but one of the things is like I built my diamond. I don't think I have any 99s. There just aren't any like must play players that are 99s, except for maybe a couple of bullpen pieces that I either don't have or decided not to use. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
there's the Beltran. He's a 99, right?
yeah. So that might be the one guy that, but
Yeah.
I don't know that I had him in my build. So
Oh,
maybe I missed him.
yeah. Diamond has 12 non-live catchers. Avila is probably good. Um, so yeah, Eras
Again,
tournament.
Avila's a 91, and he's probably one of the better options of those 12.
Right.
And so there you're saving 8 points when you don't even need to save points.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. So run environments. Uh, I've been lazy, in quotes, and only been collecting data on perfect drafts and some day caps recently, um, and using that for projections. But did you know there is a 1996 perfect draft, which is a daily double? And so, when the tournament format got announced, I started entering in that. I have 4 tournaments now, so lots of data to project off of. But here's the 2010 perfect draft data. Here's the day cap 1999 data, and here's perfect draft 1996 data. So you can kind of see, uh, yeah, uh, numbers. Home runs are up, walks are up, runs are up, BABIP's down. What does this kind of look like?
So I first of all, I think it's interesting that strikeouts don't really change. I thought that they would go down a little bit, but they didn't really go down at all. So that was something that I thought was interesting. Um, you know, I think you still can devalue stuff a little bit and focus more on home run suppression and control to protect against the increased power and the increased walks. Um, Also, if you're kind of trying to decide between whether to have a fifth bench bat or a 13th pitcher, I think the fact that um, that the walks and home runs are up and the run environment in general is up, would lead me toward looking at that, um, leading to go towards that 13th pitcher. I haven't decided yet whether I'm going to do that, but I think that becomes a very viable option given the situation. Um, and the BABIP is down, um, but not hugely so. So I think that, and it's not a huge change in the overall run environment, but it's a little bit of a bump. So I think that's the main shift I'm going to make is try and add maybe a little bit more pitching and shade that pitching a little bit more towards home run suppression and control, and maybe give up a little stuff to do that, um, and maybe a little bit of pitcher bat, but probably not that much. And so, it's these are this is kind of an adjustment where you're making changes on the margins, but ultimately, for the most part, the best hitters are going to be the best hitters, and best pitchers are going to be the best pitchers. I wouldn't overthink it too much to like really reach for a guy who you don't think is particularly good in modern, to adjust for the format. Like I still think you want to just, if it's close between two guys, go with the guys that will help you in those categories. But don't go too far with it would be my advice.
Like
As we build the goal,
it's not pre 515. Like it's not pre May 15th.
right?
It's
Yeah, and
still
I think when we get into building the gold, Exo's gold roster, we'll maybe show some examples of guys that you don't want to like, you know, grab a pretty lousy card just because he has good power and eye. You want to, you still want to go with like the better overall cards. But if it's close between two guys, you're going to go with the guy who has better power of those options.
so. I just want to highlight the second table, which is there was a thing in Discord, must have been about a month ago, where like there's a database directory within your OOTP installation, and there's an error modifier file in it, and that's what these two entries were from. It probably means nothing, but it's just interesting because to kind of look at maybe like a high level of like trying to discern some stuff. But even then, it looks like 96 versus 95 is probably close enough, unless they've tuned the modifiers a lot differently. Which we've now how many times have we done these streams now, Aster? This is
Yeah,
like 12 now, something like that.
on PTCS, at least 10.
So like if you go back and like look at my track record, I'm probably a decent baseball player, but not a good prognosticator of performance. So, but we'll see. And with that, yeah, let's look at some stuff.
Okay.
So we have an Excel spreadsheet to kind of go through. Let's see, is this gonna work? Is this gonna work? Is this gonna work? Is that gonna work?
So just to give people a picture, this is based on the 1996 perfect draft data or the OOTB era um, uh, daily cap data.
This is on the 1996 perfect
Okay.
draft data.
Okay. So the usual caveat, that this isn't based on a huge amount of data, but the idea is to give us an idea, primarily just of like the shape and which cards kind of shaded a little bit, are going to kind of be the best fit for the format. I think you'll see for the most part that it's going to be the cards, by and large, that you're going to want to use in a modern format. Like there's not a lot of difference, but we'll kind of go through, especially if you look at the top, Herb Score, Hal Newhouser, Vita Blue. Most people are using those guys in open gold and in modern era, and they show up as the same as the top three guys in this format as well. Um, Matt Moore is a guy who maybe gets a little bit of a boost from the adjustment in era. Um, Not a high stuff guy, I don't think.
No, I don't think so.
Um, yeah, I think
Uh,
he's like I want to say he's like a 70 stuff, 90, 80 control or something. No, maybe not that good.
no,
Maybe
I think
60 stuff.
he's primarily. I'm pulling up the game now. I should have had
Okay.
this. Uh, Matt Moore. Pitchers. PBAB. I
Oh yeah,
think he's
no, he is a high stuff guy. He's 105 stuff, 73 homer, 96 PBAP, 46 control. Okay, this is not the player I was thinking of.
so. If I hide this, here's the card.
Yeah. So yeah, this would not be my first choice of card. Um, I don't think this card will do badly, but just because of the super high PBAP, but and this that I wouldn't say this would be my preferred shape for this format. If it was a tighter cap and I was like, "Oh, I'm saving 5 points," I would think about it. But given the fact that it's not, um, I don't think this would be a guy that I would likely use. Um,
So you think with this, it's like because the justification is that even if he's gonna walk guys, he's not gonna give up hits, and it's a 50-50 toss up between giving up a home run and striking out
right.
someone, right?
Yeah, I mean it's not 50-50, but it's certainly yeah, you're just this feels like a gamble kind of thing. It's like he's going to walk guys given the fact that walks are severely elevated, and then it's like is he going to strike the guy out or is he going to let up a home run? And the problem is if you walk guys and then let up a home run right after, it's just a sequencing thing.
Yeah.
That if you get bad luck with sequencing, you end up with some really bad outings. So um, that's the kind of player that I don't know that I want to gamble with in a big tournament. Um, but I feel like there'll be better options.
Like versus Herb. Go back and look at Herb.
I mean, Herb is a very similar shape, but I think the home run is a good bit higher. Um, that it kind of mitigates that a little bit for me, um, and the stuff is higher as well. So you're gonna just in terms of flipping that that choice of like, okay, he's gonna let up some walks, not gonna let up a lot of hits, but he's not gonna let up too many anywhere near as many home runs, and he's gonna strike out more people. So I just feel like the gamble is there's still a gamble with score, but it just feels like it's a lot less of a gamble.
You got a thumb on the scale a little bit more.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So
you're still probably going to get the occasional blow up outing with score and probably Newhouser as well. Um,
what is the SP? Oh, now we're into Extoforus exploring data. So Gavin Stone in this data, Gavin Stone is leading with 26% K rate, and
okay.
we're saying that the overall K rate is 18. So, but again, this is a significant sample, which it isn't, which is
Right.
240 innings pitched. So
Sure.
probably you'd want like 10 times that.
Yeah, I wouldn't put a lot of stock in that.
Because even if we go and we look up Stone, which if I do that and then Future Legends, like you'd think, I don't know, is Herb in here? No, Herb's not even in the data set. So like Stone versus Herb, uh, yeah, like presumably Herb is striking out like
Well,
maybe
you just
not.
didn't. I mean, you might not have had enough innings from Herb Score in the data that you had that he was up there. So I wouldn't be surprised if he also was 25, 26, and maybe even a little higher K rate. Um,
Right. So maybe if I like cut down the strikeouts, these projections will get a little less crazy. Because I think what's happening is it's thinking that Herb score is doing so much better. No, it still thinks Herb score and Matt Moore are good. Let me kill K's even more. Let's say the max is like 2 and 25. Because yeah, this is may not be able to do much in terms of projections to fix it. Oh, here we go. I've finagled the data to now have Vita Blue on top.
Okay. I mean, I think Vita Blue would probably be a safer bet. I think he has similar shape, but has a pretty solid, or at least a good bit better uh, control. Correctly. Yeah. So he's 60. You're giving up a little stuff, similar PBAP, similar home run rate, but then a good bit better control than score. So yeah, I think he's a safer bet compared to score. The 20, 21 points of control, I think make a big difference. Then it's 30 points of stuff, but I just don't think the 30 points of stuff is worth that much. Um,
Yeah, I can tune this down even more to see what happens. That's probably not gonna impact it too much. Uh, so next one it says is all right. Let's do some. If we take this and we kind of shift that down. Okay, so we're saying Vita Blue makes the team.
yeah.
Uh,
Welcome to the midterms.
Harvey Haddix.
Uh, I'd be
No.
afraid to play Harvey Haddix with that low of
All right, so
one.
let's do some hand editing. One who gives up the most home runs? What's the most home run? It's still 4.2. And then the format home run rate is 3.3. Let's say 5. Let's say 6. There we go. And now let's put some thumbs on here. Oh, it's saying Herb. Yeah, okay. So Herb score, Hardware Heroes, probably a good job. Herb score, you made the team. Johnny Antonelli. That's a name I haven't heard in a while. This
I
looks
like
okay.
what
This looks
I
okay.
think this is. I think this is a decent shape for the. I mean, he doesn't stand out or anything, but I think this feels like a kind of a more dependable card that is probably not going to get blown up too often, but it's probably not going to be shut down kind of guy either. So I would probably put Antonelli. I think I put Antonelli in my rotation.
Lady Baldwin. A little splitty.
Uh, Little splitty, um, but yeah, I like not even that splitty. Yeah,
Uh, no, actually,
where's this?
I,
Where's the
I,
splitty?
the colors
The
got
colors
me.
threw you off? Yeah, it's one.
I don't see numbers. I see colors. That's why I have
Okay.
my sheet set up that way. And then Teddy Herrera special edition.
That's a pity.
I have.
Okay.
Let's see. This is
So that
is
now
this
that's a
is
splitty
this
card.
okay? I have to double
This
check.
one's a splitty card. You're right. So they're different colors, and the numbers are.
Are
Um,
significantly different.
so yeah, I don't like how splitty this is, but I don't think this is a bad card. Um,
For 7 points, let's see if we could do better. Because Gary Peters, I
well,
know is
again, next though, don't think about this as number of points. You're going to be able to play all of these guys,
yeah.
regardless of what the points are. So just don't even put it into your view of how you're looking at these cards. Um,
This looks like a good card.
yeah, I like this card. The stuff's a little light, but makes up for it with the really high PBAP. Not particularly splitty, um, and very good control. So, um,
Oh yeah, I
uh,
should. Why are we even bothering building this roster? Uh,
well, because you
it's an
don't know that you're
exercise.
going to be able to. It's an exercise, but also, it's about the process of how we're looking at the cards. But then also, we don't know that you're going to necessarily get all of the cards in the 2 days before.
the
Um,
The probability of me getting any of the Negro League 2 cards is, I would say, closer to zero than to non-zero.
Yeah, but I mean that's the thing is last year, there were a lot of Negro League cards that had the very similar shape to um, Slim Jones, and um, and those tended to be um, good
Sure.
profile.
Oh, look at
The
this. They're all left-handed. This is
Yes,
not a thing in my sheet that I'm only filtering on left-handed pitchers.
no,
Uh,
this is the Durden play that I think I went with as well. I'm pretty sure I went with these five guys as my starters. The nice thing is that it sets up Will See Moore to be a super duper stopper because he doesn't have the stamina to be a starter in 1995, but um, I like him as a stopper. The PBAPIP's not great, but the home run suppression is elite, and I think he's just always seems to do well for me at the bullpen.
all right, let's look at some of these cards.
Okay.
Batters. So the that Mickey Tettleton. Let's take a look because I don't know who
Oh,
Tettleton is.
that's a new card. So we can look at it, but most likely nobody's going to have it. Um,
There's
so
been at
again,
least one sell.
well, okay, somebody got one,
Somebody got
but
one.
you know, power and eye, um, decent catcher ability. Yeah, I mean, I think
So,
you know,
do you think the low AVK is a bit of an issue or no?
uh, it's it's a little bit of an issue. I'd much prefer that if it was a little bit earlier era that the K's were depressed even more. But I think that'll be a decent card. Again, that's a card that you're saying I want. Uh, I'm just hoping that that guy gets hot, hits a few home runs, and when he doesn't hit home runs, he draws a few walks, and then and then I'll deal with the rest. So um, if I happen to get him, I would consider. I think I'm going with Indy Rodriguez.
And
Um,
Hoyles.
Wales is very similar, and even has is a better. Yeah, I guess we can't do a.
You can do a platoon, no?
Yeah, no. I was going to say we can't do a comparison between Tettleton and Wales, but they're very similar shapes.
I don't know because my modeling's so good. I'm kind of curious how. Oh, I think Tettleton is just way more power. I think. Uh, no. Is it the
Anymore? No, it's
is it the
basically the
gap?
same.
It's the gap in the BABIP, I think. Yeah, it's the gap in the
Yeah, I think it's the
BABIP.
gap. Yeah. So yeah, but I also Hoyles is a better defensive catcher than Tettleton, so
Right.
I think it's a coin flip between those two. Um, I think they're both righties. Oh no, Tettleton's a switch hitter, so I don't know.
But Endy's a
How does
switch hitter.
Yeah? So I think Hoyles and Indy is a good um,
Platoon.
platoon. The other option is if you have one, the 85 Dickey is such a good defender. Um,
You think it's gonna matter in 1995?
Not really, but again, I mentioned it as an option because I don't think that's how I would go, but I think it's a reasonable option. Especially, it's nice if you have since you can afford a full platoon that you have an offensive bat and a defensive bat. Then that way uh, you can have Dickey come in the late innings when as a defensive replacement. Uh, but yeah, I think I'd say Indy and Hoyles are probably my, first choice. If I could get a Tettleton, I might think of playing him over Hoyles, but I don't think that's like a
Would you do
priority.
Hoyles and Dickey then?
Yeah, I would consider that.
Sure. What is Dickey?
85. I see.
Sure. Let's do this.
Okay.
Okay, first base. Someone please sell me a Lou Gehrig. There was one up on the auction house Monday morning, and it quickly got purchased. So I guess the next option is pick your poison between the super splitty Tristan Cassis or Ryan Howard. Or if you think
Right.
everyone's going to be playing BL, then uh, you can play
But again,
Edgar
you
or.
don't have to make a choice. You can have,
Well,
you can platoon.
you only have 13. You only have four backups, right? So only four
That's
platoons.
true. Um, I'm trying to think. Mead at least also plays third base. Cassis, I think, also plays third base. Berkman, if you want to go really crazy splitty. Um, and it's an era tournament, even though it's not a big era shift. That means that people can't use openers. Um, uh, but I think if you don't have Garrick, I think Mead, as Zadafo just said, the fact that he doesn't have big splits, uh, and the fact that I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people are going heavy lefty in their starting rotation. Then I think Mead becomes one of the best options if you don't have Garrick.
All right, let's move over to second base. All star Brian Roberts. So I'm filtering this on 70 range. I feel like 70 range is probably a good enough measure for defense. There's also turn double play and stuff, but uh, like Carroll is probably not the play. Who would we say? Brian Roberts, All Star. Do I have a Brian Roberts All Star?
Here's, I mean, just to give a comparison, like take the range restriction off, and I'd be interested to see if guys like Vargas and
Bill Joyce,
um, Joyce comes up. Okay, yeah. So I don't
Strang.
know that. I mean, Bill Joyce and Strang. I don't know that I love in 1995. Um, I think if you're gonna not go with a defensive option at second base, then I think Steer or Vargas are interesting. They also play several other positions, so there's some flexibility there. I think Steer's V left profile makes him pretty valuable in this format. Uh, as a
Where would you
uh,
play him at second?
I,
This doesn't frighten you? Because even right field is like a quote unquote premium defensive position, so you could probably play him at third. I'm guessing,
yeah, I might play him in third.
and then play Mead at first.
Yeah, that's an option. I mean, the other thing is then I guess your DH Chipper. Um,
Right. Well,
we
let's
haven't gotten into yet.
because I was thinking like if we wanted to play the Uber defense, like if we say greater than 90, that's Baez, Peraza, Tovar. So probably like it's a Peraza Tovar up the middle because my typical gold build would be Bob Ferguson, but again because of this being gold only,
Right.
he's not available. Um, so yeah, let's just lean into defense up the middle.
Okay.
Peraza and Tovar are gonna run into not that high is a little scary, but at least we have up the middle defense. So, oh, still nowhere near the cap.
We're gonna be saying that a lot.
So Chipper is probably gonna DH full time. Special edition. Chipper Jones. I think he's just too good not to. So don't have to worry about that. Shortstop we've already covered. Okay, outfield. So Strang, The build is bad. Thanks, Isotafo. Uh, Sammy Strang and left. And then probably the last platoon position would be center field. And again, let's uh, go like let's see what's 85. Joey Weimer, interesting. Or we could just do
Yeah,
no platoon and just play Paskert both ways. He's got the eye. The home run's not really there.
right. Yeah, it's
Uh,
not a terrible card for center field. Um, the one thing is, I think I can't remember, but I think I have Vargas in as my. I think he has decent defense at left field.
oh, Vargas.
Yeah,
Yeah, 83. He's got
and
60 range.
he's a guy who has full splits, but is pretty good against.
Or do you
And then if
do you
you're
play
going defense,
Weimer?
yeah, I mean,
Because
or if you can fit them in, both, but because Vargas can also cover some spots field as a backup.
okay, so if we add both of these, Weimer and Vargas, what does that put us at? 12. What do we need for backup? Steer is backing up shortstop. Sure, let's do it. I
So
love it. Uh,
I might grab a backup shortstop then. Maybe we can do both
well,
things.
what Weimer? Well, I guess Weimer backing up center field is not bad.
Yeah,
So who? Mike Schmidt, grab.
you could do Schmidt and just play him versus right.
Yeah. Uh, yeah. I can't believe how reverse split he is.
Yeah.
Cause that so Sewell. I don't think I have this Willard Brown. Maybe I do. Uh, I do. Because he's a guy who I'm assuming covers all sorts of spots, but yeah, his ratings, not 72. That's better than who is it? Steer. Uh, 67. Yeah, or maybe just do Mike Schmidt. Um, Schmidt was a hardware hero. Uh, that's pretty good.
Yeah, and then he also has third base defense.
Yeah.
You know, backing up.
Okay. All right. Let's see what AI thinks. Obviously, you put Schmidt in. Peraza at second. Who was I saying? Who's gonna play? Oh, it doesn't even want Chipper in the lineup. That's blasphemy. Let's sort by batters. So we have all the left-handers. Schmidt, VR, Peraza, Cassis, Dickey. I'll move this up.
He ended up a little short on lefties, but I mean, Schmidt's a righty who's really a lefty.
Well, I think it's also like Paskert,
Yeah,
not really.
you also have a couple guys that just don't have big splits, so and you're probably going to face the majority lefties in this format anyway. So that's the end of it.
And someone who's watching this is like, no, I'm gonna make an all righty rotation.
Yeah, they
Counter the
might.
counter. Um, and I say I laugh at your platoon splits. So yeah, Cassis, Mead. What does the sheet say between who's better? So Chipper, VR is 147. Where is Mead on here?
35 versus righties.
Yeah. So Chipper should be just better overall.
Yeah.
Um, mm,
Yeah. So I mean, with a lot of these cards that having multiple position eligibility, you can get away with 13 players and not have to give any big coverage issues. You don't have anybody covering more than two positions. And
until I do that.
now you have Vargas covering eight.
Yeah, I gotta fix this.
Right. You can also put Mead at backup first base instead of Vargas,
Yeah,
and then that covers it.
something like that
And
ish.
also, why is Schmidt can't back up shortstop if he's playing third base?
Of course he can. Just set Tovar to rest at 98.
Okay.
Um, well, and also VL Schmidt's gonna be sitting, and Vargas is gonna be playing.
Right. I know.
Um, and then Mead is gonna be here, something like this. Hoyles is gonna be here. Strang is gonna be there. So Steer just doesn't play. Steer plays for Weimar. No. Steer's here. No. It feels like Tetris sometimes. Oh, daily life cap. Uh, need to make a team for that. Steer third base, Vargas left field.
Well,
Ah,
yeah, if Warmer's starting, then he shouldn't be backing up.
there we go.
Trying should be dead.
Yeah, I like
I
that.
guess center field, yeah. Okay, that's a little better.
Okay. Do you want to go through pitching or do you want to go through the rest of the slides?
Uh, we can. So it's just bullpen at this point. So,
Yeah,
yeah, let's do the
the
tournament
bullpen.
ranking slides and then call it a night.
Cause yeah, bullpen. Uh,
Bullpen, Kenley, uh, Clippard. I definitely think. Um, Niedenfuhr was very splitty, but is interesting. Um,
especially with all the right-handed bats that are going to be in to stop the left-handers, starting
right.
pitchers. I
Yeah.
could see him be like a nice long relief specialist.
Yeah.
Billy Wagner. So, all right.
Okay.
Export. This is good God.
CS2 gold.
PTCS2 5 gold. And then I like to be pedantic and name stuff for what it does. Okay.
So you have 37 points for uh
6 cards. So
right.
85 average.
Okay. I don't think you'll have
Or
much problem putting it
6 cards? 7
through.
cards. 7 cards. So
Oh
yeah.
right, because you're
Yeah.
going 13 man bullpen. Yeah. Okay.
So it's an 85 average.
Yeah.
Woof. Uh, so yeah, thank you. Uh, thank you everyone. All right, let's head back to the slides. Where are we? Slides. So yeah, tournament rankings.
Okay. So we started this last week, breaking down a couple of the formats. So this is bronze. Um, these are the people who finished in the top 10 each of the first 9 weeks. The second to last column is how many times each team has finished in the top 10. And then the last column is how many perfect point bonuses in total each of those teams has accumulated from their top 10 finishes. So bronze, you know, looks like it's a little bit difficult to consistently make it into the top 10, which makes sense. It's definitely very hard to play all of them on a regular basis, given how early they fill. But there's at least a few teams um, that that make it fairly consistently. 6 out of 9 weeks is pretty good. Um, and so yeah, so those are the teams. Some pretty solid you know, managers there that are able to fairly consistently pick up points in bronze. So I'm tracking all 10 formats. It's just in terms of time on the stream, I'm not going to go over every format every week. So I just picked I think three this week. We did 3 or 4 last week, and then we'll hit the last few. So Iron, I guess we'll probably do whenever we stream next. And then I don't think we did open or I don't know. There's one other format that we haven't gotten to besides Iron.
Wild
Um,
card.
Maybe wild card, yeah. Um, so that's bronze, and then I think next one's silver. Um, so silver, it looks like it's a couple teams at the top have been able to make the top 10 every week. Webster Grove Supercells and Denver Highlanders have been really consistent. I think it's a little bit easier to play if you're committing to it to get into silver. Pretty much every tournament. There's a few of them. A couple of the silver formats, fire, really early, and then a few of them don't fire, super far ahead. Like the silver cap, usually get in like before you go to bed, and you get into it less than 12 hours, I think. So I think it's a good format that you can really try and keep if you're playing all of them and have a pretty good build. You'll probably do well in the top of the weekly rankings and pick up some bonus points for that. And then I think the last one for this week is gold.
You have another one too. You have two more.
Oh yeah, well those they're not individual format ones,
Oh, I
so
see.
yeah. So we'll get to that next. But so gold, um, again, these you have to get in pretty early for a lot of the gold formats. So we're not seeing a lot of consistency. I don't, looking at if you look at the numbers of how many entries, there's not a lot of teams that are like, I'm a gold player. I'm mostly entering the gold daily tournaments, and that's it. Um, Viffers was playing it pretty consistently for a while, and doing very well. But then the last month or so shifted gears and has been playing wild card and open more and doing well in those. And so and like a couple of these teams, I know Lemon does Star Crushers, does Diamond as well. Um, and so it's definitely a format where there's doesn't seem like there's that many people that are focusing on gold as a format. But was other than I don't know if he even played it this last week, but he's been very consistent. Uh, Top 10 every week, and then the next slide is just kind of going at overall. So this is all 10 categories. Um, so the the far right is the total cash or total perfect points from all the formats, and then the second to the right is how many different formats a team has finished in the top 10, and then and the two from the right is the total number of categories that you finished in the top 10. So a lot of good teams on this list, and not really surprised by any of the ones on here that are consistently. This is sorted by total points won. So the teams that are getting wins, regardless of category, are kind of best. Um,
And
and
there's still none that have cashed in every category, right? Even
I six is the I have the most with 6 categories. I've been in the top 10 in both the weekly and daily perfect draft, and then 4 um, of the daily of the tournament categories. So probably try to top 10 in some of the other ones as we throughout the year, but That's definitely going to be difficult. See how long I feel like grinding and trying stuff.
Right. And
And then the
then
last slide is these are the people who finished in the top 10 in a particular format the most times. So there are 5 teams that have, every week have finished in the top 10. The Vippers and Diamond, which is especially notable because they won that category 9 weeks. Um, and then I've finished in the top 10 in both wildcard and open all 9 weeks. Draglefred in uh, in open, and then Go Cubs Go 16 weeks over, and then only a few teams have done it, in all the weeks but one. So just gonna try and keep track. That there's less statistics that I can keep track of this year because they don't give us that spreadsheet at the end of each week that has the exactly how you did in each format. So I can't track wins. Um, so I'm gonna keep track of this stuff. I'm gonna maybe show some stuff with points per tournament, different formats, and a few other things. As we get more data, they'll be able to kind of be relevant samples and the other ways of kind of chopping up the limited data that I have. If everybody has any questions or suggestions about what they'd like to see in kind of like looking at the different categories and things like that, please let me know. Um, one of the things I'm also tracking but haven't shown yet is in each uh, in each format, what are the high points uh, for for a week. Um, uh, one of the things that's absolutely mind-boggling is Viffers in Diamond has the 9 highest point totals of anybody. So in other words, their lowest point total of the season would have won every single week, which just seems insane to me. Um, so I think that's about it for this week. Good luck to everybody in the PTCS, and that's about it. You got anything else for this week, Exto?
no. So it's been fun. Yeah, good luck to everyone in all the crazy formats. Yeah, and if like we're still looking for ideas for the next tournament lab refresh, which will happen whenever. So I know this one is yet to have fired, but if you have any ideas or anything, we're always open. Yeah, and if you want us to look at certain formats or datas, then let me know and I'll go collect it, and Aster will go collect it, and we can take a look.
Sounds good.
Yep. It seems like TJ's not streaming yet, so no raid, but I could raid. Can you raid an offline channel?
I don't think so. Is um
Uh,
uh Kazami Ubrin streaming?
doesn't look like it. Maybe.
First, so good job.
Whoa. What was that? Hold on. Let me see. Someone is
I can
online,
make something up to talk about for 5 minutes until we get to TJ if you want.
or we can do my live build.
Okay.
Is Yuka streaming? Yuka is not streaming. All right,
Yeah,
we
let's
got.
build something else. Or you want to go back and do your bullpen for gold?
Yeah, let's do the bullpen for gold. Actually,
Okay.
yeah, let's quickly do the bullpen for gold. Ba, 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 ba,
Oh
ba.
no, I finished second in SC Cup.
Oh no.
I only had
Uh,
2 losses going into the finals and lost in seven.
your
Bummer.
tournaments, fixed time tournaments, gold. Oops. Oops. All right. Let's do this. Let's do that.
Okay, so we said Kenley, Clippard.
So Kenley is a special edition pitcher. JJ Putz came up. He's kind of splitty.
Yeah, not the end of the world given the fact that we're starting all lefties. Having splitty righties is not killer, but
So does this profile scare you at all?
so the fact that if his home run was that bad against righties, then yes. Um, uh, but otherwise, I don't know. I think this is a card that you're gonna want to kind of manage a little bit. It's got low stamina, so I think you can quick cook it, but you're probably gonna you know very easily lose a game because that card gets lets up a big home run in a key situation. But I still think it's one of the best um, bullpen cards that are options. So I'm probably going to use it, but I can certainly understand if you choose not to.
There needs to be a prefer handedness slider in here. There really needs to be. Cause yeah, I think all you can really do is just like force hook as a reliever.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're gonna throw him into the
Okay.
fire. Um, Clippard was a card that I kind of splurged on. Uh, I think the 70 home run is probably good enough. The 50 control, it's a reliever. He's gonna walk a couple. He's gonna face
Yeah.
6 batters, walk 4, give up a home run, and then strike out
Yeah.
the
I mean,
rest.
this
Type
is
of.
a card that I think gets hurt a little bit by going from modern to 1995, and I would prefer him, in a modern setting. But I still think he's one of the best options in um,
Yeah, everything. Yeah. Would you prefer if the home run and the PBAB swapped? I think he
I mean, I would
becomes
take
he
I would take 10 or 15 off of the. Sorry.
like if these just swapped. I feel like that would be kind of an elite reliever then.
I don't know if I'd want to go so much. I'd be happy to add the two of them together and divide by two, and so they're both 90. I think I would like that better.
Right.
Um,
Then this is another one where he's like explicitly.
yeah, I mean it's very similar, profile to Henley, where you're like, I really just don't want him to face a power hitting lefty in a key situation. So, Gehrig is gonna, or somebody playing, Berkman or Cassis, you know, I don't know if you want to play. The difficulty then is I don't know if you want to play Henley and Yinfer and Clippard. I might not want to use all three, just because then it just increases the likelihood you're going to end up in that bad situation where they're going to fit, they're facing the lefty in a situation. So, um,
If we just filter it on this, like Vida, Herb, and Antonelli and Baldwin, like is this where
right.
we
But you
go
don't want a
Gary
lot of
Peters?
lefties in the bullpen because you've got an all lefty. Um,
You think his VL profile is so punitive, Istafo, that it's not gonna
yeah, I
happen?
think of the three, if I'm going to jettison somebody, I think it's going to be Niebuhr. Um,
Yeah, that's fair. Let's do that. You've been voted off the island. Lefties. Um,
I don't think you need a lot of lefties in your bullpen. Maybe one.
like this would be the only one. Because his like VR profile is okay, and his like VL profile is elite.
Yeah.
So maybe it's Gary Peters' time. So if we go back and kind of look, Ellis Kinder
It's not
can
a I don't bad card.
no, he's kind
Elite
of
control. You know, he's not a disaster versus lefties, but he's pretty. You know, it's pretty huge splits. Um,
if this was over 70, I'd be happier.
yeah. So it's an option, but I don't know that it's a must play.
I might activate him and then
Sure.
just put him on the bench for now.
Right. One thing just to show people kind of a way that I like to do it when I'm looking for like who to play is, you know, obviously I'll look at options from here, but if you go to the sell cards page where you were,
Yep.
and then um, show all pictures, not just special edition, and then go create a custom view, and oh no, sorry, cancel that. Um,
Filter.
Go to filter, yeah, go to custom filter, not custom view.
Oh,
Um,
I have this filter,
okay,
which is 90 home run rate, 70 p BABIP, and 50 control. But I figure we
okay,
want
yeah,
like
that's
70 control.
yeah. See what you get from that.
Jesse
Okay, so
Flores. That's an
so
interesting
yeah, um, it's a righty with reverse
reverse
splits,
splits.
um, and I don't know that that's what you necessarily want in the bullpen. First of all, you don't necessarily want a low stuff guy in the bullpen. It's not ideal, and reverse splits in the bullpen is not great because he's probably going to be coming in and facing a lot of righties. Um,
So yeah, I just don't think there's a guy that kind of fits this profile. If we're gonna drop something, it's gonna probably be control. So if we go back to 50 control,
okay,
then we got Guant. This looks like a solid card.
yeah, I mean that's what we were talking about. You know, where the home run suppression is the main factor. Uh,
Drake looks like a solid card.
Drake's a good option. He's not very splitty.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh no!
What?
We're reaching the cap. We have two cards and we only have
Uh-oh.
7 points. Oh no! What did we do? We did the impossible. Oh no! I have another tournament to build. Frank Owen. No. Although I guess Frank Owen is like a long reliever is probably okay.
Yeah, you can put him in as long reliever mop up. He's gonna, keep you in there. So that's not a terrible option, especially if we're now getting to the point where we're sort of vaguely have to think about the caps.
Rich Hill,
Keep you another fine,
because that would
filler
be
guy.
my second left-hand reliever, which would probably be better again as maybe a long reliever. And then we're one under the cap.
Okay, there we go.
I have no idea what's the point in playing the game when you have a program telling you what to do. Time. That's really
Right. I mean, also, Coach Ruffy, you have to understand, Joe spends a lot of time building that model. And also, largely, we use it as a sorting tool. It doesn't tell us who to play. It just, it tells us who it thinks are the best options. I don't agree with it all the time. I look at it and just to kind of see, with things. We didn't pick like the top five starters and the top eight, 7 or 8 bullpen pieces. We just kind of looked and see, who fit, and it just helps you kind of see where the big drop offs are. Um, Helps you avoid the guys that look like they might be good but are terrible, and just gives you more information about the game. So it doesn't,
the,
it's
the
not like it replaces, looking at the cards yourself, but But I find at least it kind of, you know, gets you started. It saves you time in, kind of not having to look through every card. It says, look at these 30 cards to pick your 12 or 13 pitchers instead of having to look at, all, let's say 200 cards.
Personally, I find I know there's been improvements, and I've only played this game for like 7 years or whatever, but uh, I don't like this UI. It's really hard to work with, and it's not as customizable as you can. But so to me, like digging through this and like having to go into like filter and then customize filter and change a number and then come out here and then change a number, like it's much faster to do in Excel than to
Yeah.
do in the application, unfortunately.
All right. TJ's
So
up now, so we might as well raid and call it night.
yeah, thanks everyone.
Have a good day.
Good luck. Rating in 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3.